It's the most important Texas Tech football season in program history. And in today's video, I'll give my record prediction, what Texas Tech is set to do in 2025 and how the Red Raiders could live up to some lofty expectations. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Red and Black Report, aka the RBR. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. And while you're down there, hey, predict it for me. How many games do you think Texas Tech will win in 2025? I will give my full game-by-game breakdown for the Red Raiders in today's video. I'm sticking to it. I'm putting myself out there. Last year was pretty good. I actually called the 8 wins. Now, did I get every game right? No, but we got the overall record right. Will I get every game right this year? Probably not, but I'll tell you this. I guarantee you, every single one of you watching this video would be very, very happy if I was right on the record. All right, but again, before we jump into it, predict how many games will Texas Tech win in 2025 down on the pinned comment below. All right, let's just jump right into this, shall we? Fancy little graphic. I don't think there's any need to really go too much into detail about the first 3 games in the season. No disrespect to Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, or even Murphy, the quarterback up there at Oregon State. No disrespect, but Texas Tech, in terms of talent, is leaps and bounds better than these programs. So I don't think I'm breaking any news here. I don't think anybody's going to tell you differently that Texas Tech should go 3-0. To start the season, and it's all at home. That's a big aspect too here, where it's okay, you got a lot of new guys together. You need to find that camaraderie in live game situations. What better way to do that than kind of let's just face it, a cupcake schedule for the first 3 games of the season. That being said, it gets difficult right away when Big 12 play starts, where you have to go out to Salt Lake City. Have no fear. I think the Red Raiders win that game and start the season 4-0. I'll tell you this right now. When we preview that game in September, the most critical aspect of this game, like whoever wins this battle that I'm about to bring up, will win the football game. I wholeheartedly believe it, okay? Utah has the best offensive line in the Big 12, full stop. Texas Tech has the best defensive line in the Big 12, full stop. Whoever wins in the trenches, specifically for the Utah offensive line and the Texas Tech defensive line, will win that game in Salt Lake City. I think Texas Tech wins it. That's no disrespect to the Utah tackle tandem they have out there. It is arguably the best one in the country. That is not like hyperbole either. They have arguably the best tackle in the country out there in Salt Lake City. That being said, I think it's going to be the interior of the defensive line that really wins this football game for Texas Tech out in Utah, and the Red Raiders head back home for a bye week 4-0. Now, I will say this about the next game where they play Houston. If it was back-to-back in terms of no bye week, I probably actually would pick the Cougars, or I would pick the Utes to win the game, and Texas Tech would end up being 4-1. That being said, there is a bye week between the Utah game where you have to go out to Salt Lake City and then when you go to Houston. If it was back-to-back, I'm probably picking one of those as a loss. That being said, give me the Red Raiders to win this football game down in H-Town. Listen, I like Weigman as the quarterback down there. I like Fitz as the head coach. I think Willie's done a phenomenal job with the resources he has. Obviously, losing a coordinator like Sheil Wood to the good guys in the Red Raiders isn't going to help them. They will be better this year offensively, the Cougars will be, but I think they're going to be drastically worse on the defensive side of the football. I think Texas Tech gets after Connor Weigman, and I think they dominate this game down in H-Town. All right, the Red Raiders then come back home for their first game at home in the Jones in almost a calendar month at this point. But have no fear, the Red Raiders will be 6-0 after they play the Kansas Jayhawks out at Jones AT&T Stadium in, early October. This is a game, in my opinion, that if they have their quarterback Daniels, okay, might be a little closer than people think, but he has proven time and time again that, hey, he's a little injury prone, and I'm not trying to take shots at the guy. It's just a fact, right? He's missed a lot of time due to various injuries, most notably his back. But I think Texas Tech is going to give him fits, specifically the defensive line. You're going to hear me talk about them a lot in this Texas Tech record prediction video. I think Texas Tech just dominates the Kansas offensive line with the defensive front that they have. Baron Morton picks apart the Kansas secondary, and the Red Raiders move on to 6-0 and set themselves up for a colossal, and I mean colossal, game out in the desert against the reigning Big 12 champions and Coach Dillingham and Sam Leavitt in the Arizona State Sun Devils. Now, this game is going to be drastically important for Texas Tech in the sense of this. If my prediction goes right, they're already bowl eligible. That doesn't matter. Bowl eligibility this year is like basically if you barely are bowl eligible, I think this season is a drastic, and I mean drastic failure. Okay, we're talking about, can you make it to Arlington? And you play a team like Arizona State that has played in Arlington, took Texas in the college football playoff to the brink and didn't have a call go their way, but it is what it is on that front. I think Texas Tech goes out and hangs tough with the Sun Devils, but I think that this is where the first loss of the season comes into play for Texas Tech out in Tempe. They got Sam Leavitt. They returned most of their production. I believe it's over 70% of their production on the offensive side of the football come back for the Sun Devils. Obviously, injuries can happen, but injuries can happen for Texas Tech as well. I think I'm going to give respect to the reigning Big 12 champions in the Arizona State Sun Devils and the team. If they had the Big 12 preseason poll, I would be picking them to probably finish at the top or at least in the top two. All right, Texas Tech then comes back home to face off against, well, Xerox U, a.k.a. Oklahoma State. I think Texas Tech wins this one. I don't know what the hell the Cowboys are. I'll just be upfront and honest with you. Do I think that they're going to be better than what they were last year in the Big 12 Conference? Yeah, I do. But I don't know what they are. It feels like they are in the most awkward stage you can possibly be in with Mike Gundy. You know that stage when you're growing up and you're kind of in between, like, oh, I want to be treated like an adult, but hey, chocolate milk in the morning made by mom is still really, really good. You know what I mean? But I want to be an adult kind of deal. I feel like that's where Oklahoma State is in a football sense, where it's like, hey, like, we like Mike Gundy quite a bit, but like we kind of want to move on from this. And I don't think that they're a good enough football team to compete with Texas Tech at home. I think the Red Raiders blow the socks off the Cowboys at home there to improve to 7-1. Arguably the most difficult game on the schedule coming up for Texas Tech. They head up to Manhattan, Kansas, a place that Texas Tech historically has been putrid at. I mean, they just historically do not win very many football games there. And I don't think that changes this year, mostly because I think Kansas State is a really, really good football team. If you ask me, I think there's 3 teams that are clear-cut above the rest when it comes to talent in this conference. Texas Tech, Arizona State, Kansas State. Put them in whatever you want to in terms of the, hey, Arizona State's first, Texas Tech is second, or vice versa, whatever it is, right? Like, put them in the order you want. But those are the 3 clear-cut teams, in my opinion, that have the most talent and should be at the top of the Big 12 standings when the season ends. I just think if this game was at home, I would pick Texas Tech to win. I really would. But I'm not going to pick the Red Raiders to win, even with their most talented team, arguably, in program history, at a place historically they don't win. But I will say this game's going to be close. This feels like a game to me that's like 24-21, 28-24. That's what it feels like to me. Whoever can limit the big-time plays defensively, whether that's Kansas State or the potent Texas Tech defense, I think that's going to be the winner of this game, and I'm going to give that card to the Kansas State Wildcats just because they are the home team. All right, the Red Raiders head back home to face off against the team that, when they played them in their first year, they started a true freshman quarterback out in Provo, and things did not go very, very well for the Red Raiders. I think that changes in 2025. Texas Tech beats BYU at home to go 8-2 on the year so far. This is a game where I think if you had Retzlaff, the quarterback there at BYU, I think it might be a little different here. I might be picking BYU to win because I think that they're a talented team. They're in that next tier in terms of talented teams out in the Big 12. That said, I don't know what the quarterback situation looks like, and I don't think they're going to have the ability to get a guy that is good as Jake Retzlaff this far into the season. I mean, we're basically a month away. Okay, I just don't think it's going to happen. It's at home. Texas Tech is more talented than BYU. I think they beat the Cougars at home and improved to 8-2. Now you face off against the UCF team on senior day at home. And this UCF team, you know, a shout out to Scott Frost. Like, good for you for going back home, even though some of the things you said at Big 12 Media Day were kind of weird, but it is what it is. UCF is just not very good. They're not. It would not shock me if this is the worst team in the Big 12. I think Texas Tech basically beats UCF very similarly to the way that they beat West Virginia last year on senior night in the last game of the regular season at Jones AT&T Stadium. I think they beat the absolute brakes off of Scott Frost and UCF. Speaking of West Virginia, that's the last game of the regular season for Texas Tech. You head out to Morgantown. It's going to be cold. All right, let's just get that off the, get it out of the way first and foremost, right? It is going to be cold. I bet you the elements are going to play a factor, whether that's snow, rain, whatever it is. It feels like every time Texas Tech, at least in recent memory, plays out in Morgantown, there's some kind of weather, whether it's rain, whether it's really cold, whatever it is, that's going to play an impact. And in years past, it's played a pretty big impact because West Virginia and Texas Tech have been kind of even when it comes to the talent on their roster. That's not the same in 2025. So for me, I have Texas Tech winning at West Virginia to finish the regular season 10-2, and I think Texas Tech gets to play in Jerry World for a chance at a Big 12 title. And by the way, the 10-2, I think ties them for the Big 12 regular season title with, drum roll please, Kansas State. I think Texas Tech and Kansas State play each other in Arlington for a chance to go to the college football playoff. Texas Tech will be 10-2. I think Kansas State will be 10-2 as well. And the Red Raiders will win that football game and win a share of the regular season Big 12 title, and then also win the Big 12 title game as well. And for those that stuck around this long in the video, we'll have a video here on the channel in the not too distant future talking about why I think Texas Tech will win the Big 12 title this year. Obviously, talent has a lot to do with it, but it's talent in certain places. And I think Texas Tech has easily the most talented defensive line. And here's the thing. In a conference like the Big 12, it's not like the SEC. And I know there's going to be some people coming at me in the comments here in a second. There is not a lot of great defensive line talent in the Big 12, period. Texas Tech, I could argue right now, really has probably 3 of the top 6 defensive line players in the Big 12. I could legitimately make that argument, okay? And when a team is that loaded in an area that makes a huge difference, that's why the Red Raiders, I think, go 10-2. They dominate the Big 12 this year, and they go and win the Big 12 title in Arlington. All right. What do we think? What do we think? Call me a homer if you want. That's fine. I don't really care. But there's no denying that this Texas Tech football team is, if not the most talented team in the Big 12, in the top 2. Okay? And they're the most talented team in arguably the most important place on a football field, and that is the defensive line. And, oh, by the way, their quarterback, Baron Morton, he's pretty damn good too. Put some damn respect on his name from a national and really just a regional level as well. I've seen Baron Morton ranked as the 9th best quarterback in the Big 12. That is absolutely asinine. Be better. All right. Before we head out of here one more time, how many games will Texas Tech win in 2025? Let me know. I'll put it back on the screen. My record prediction here. Take a screenshot if you want. I'll be putting this on Twitter as well. But I think the Red Raiders go 10-2 in 2025 for a chance to play in the Big 12 title game out in Arlington. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube right here on the RBR, the Red and Black Report. And as always, I'm RC Maxfield reminding you to stay safe and Wreck 'em Tech.